Leave everyone. Why are you still standing? Is okay to sit? Can I have a seat? Yeah, you can have a seat. Thanks much. Though what Devon would have highlighted might sound very impressive, it just simply meant that I was fortunate to happen to give security services in different areas, right? Whatever area you're doing in security, whether it be executive protection, at a supermarket, gas station, on a vehicle escort, there are certain things that remain as foundation. A lot of times we take security for granted and we put ourselves in unnecessary harm's way. Just tonight I would have recognized the door being opened at whim and fancy without anybody even identifying who's actually outside. Didn't see anybody look through the window here when I hear the door knock. I didn't see anybody with a peephole, as we call it, to identify the person who's entering, and yet we give access. So I just want to show you how simple that is. The only thing we have control over, that the Father will give you control over, really is you, your thoughts, and what you do. And any day, it is said that you give account for yourself, not so? So that means that everybody here has a personal responsibility for their own safety. And collectively, we'll have a responsibility for when you go in gatherings. We take security so not serious that I can tell you, in our homes, if we were to ask persons what are emergency numbers for the fire service, ambulance services, police services, most people don't know. If you ask persons in your own homes, have you taught your children about when somebody knocks a door, how do you treat it? Have we taught them that when mommy and daddy is not want people to ask a question, they don't give information? Have we taught persons in your own home, if somebody calls and you get a phone call, you don't give out mommy and daddy's number. You call them and ask them and tell them somebody called and give them that person's number. That's how simple this is. So while you may hear all those accolades, and for those persons I may have been assigned to an international level, and I want to just say, so you can understand the extent of it, the ex-president of Mexico, Mr. Calderon, Prime Minister of Antigua, Mr. King, Mr. Rowley in 2015 as an opposition leader, two attorney generals in that, Mr. John Jeremy was there right now again, Mr. Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, just to name a few persons. Yet, even with all of that, it always comes down to the basic things. So tonight we're just going to be discussing some of those things and highlight some of the ideas and what is you really want to try to achieve when we talk about security at the church. Only things, however, is that in the mindset of most persons, you don't need security at church because you're covered by the blood. But we also see on the other side of that is that the Father also helps those who. So if we were to put that into practice and to meaning, doesn't it necessarily mean that while we're here, you have to also put the things in place that allows the Father to do his work through you? So if that is the case, or as simple as that, why would we not want to ensure that while we are here, that we have things in place that keeps us safe? Before I go into any other part of this lecture, and let me say a little bit, what I wanted to really be is a discussion, not necessarily a lecture. Not I come in and tell you about things, but we discuss certain aspects of it, right? How many of us here, when you're home, leave our doors open and go and sleep? or leave your windows open and go and sleep, or don't have any burglar proofing. Who does that? So, is it that we're saying that we put all those things in place to be safe while we're home, and when we are not home, we ignore safety? Who here goes in a vehicle if you know the driver is reckless? Okay. So then, if that is the case, and you don't consciously do those things, would you consciously go in a place to serve where the persons who are in charge of you have not put things in place for you to be safe, feel safe, while you congregate? Why do we feel that it's any different any other place? We live in a society now whereby persons literally have very little regard for life. We see it, unfortunately. And it does not really come from a place of being identify persons by simply how they look.
Yes, that's true.
Those days have gone past us whereby we feel we could just look at somebody and tell the thought or tell the intent. So I'm going to share something with you that we say that we teach at defensive driving. And that is simply, while you're on the road, regardless of how good a driver you may be, how excellent a driver you may be, there are other persons who are on the road who are not.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, when you're on that road, all you have control over is yourself and your vehicle. Right now, as we sit here, we ain't touched security, right? We ain't touched this yet. But as we sit right here, what's the person next to you thinking? What's the person right next to you thinking? In fact, we don't even know if they're actually hearing what I'm saying, and they're not thinking about a problem home, a bill tomorrow to pay, a line coming up, a family visiting from the States, and we ain't paying the house yet, and we ain't paid the room, and we ain't put it together yet. You don't know. What is that person thinking next to you right now? When you leave here and you walk downstairs, and you see two persons come across the road, take a seat and looking across you, what are they thinking? They might have absolutely nothing to do with you and just sit down there because they're tired and decide they're having a conversation. And then two other persons who walk up the road, dressed very nice, seemingly have a nice conversation, goes on, passes you, turns around and comes back and rob everybody. So how do we know? We don't. So it means because we don't and we can't identify those things so easily, we have to put mechanisms in place that allows us to be able to give ourselves the opportunity to identify and to react in a responsible manner. And if for this little while I'm sitting here, I could give one little advice: no commentary door before we open it now. Either that is the case or just leave it unlocked. Because then what's the purpose of locking it if there's no control in the reason of that lock and open it to any individual? Then what's the sense of it? What's the sense? But unfortunately, we live in a society whereby it only makes sense after something happens. It will only make sense after something happens. The good thing is that there's somebody among you who recognizes there's a need to ensure things are in place before something happens. Now let's not go and get crazy and feel something happened that needs necessary to be a lethal emergency, meaning a fight, a firearm drawn, or anything like that. You can simply have somebody getting an asthma attack. What do we have in place for that? It may simply be that somebody comes in here and try to be disruptive while the service is going on. What do we have in place for that? who are the persons going to be responsible for addressing these issues? What is the laid out plan that we have that guides us to how we're going to address those things that is commonly understood by all? Is it that we believe that the persons who we may take and select 2, 3, 4, 5 persons, it now means that security is now only on their shoulders? Because it's not. Because it takes everyone to be aware of what is happening in the environment at all times, because somebody may see something before one of them and needs to alert you. That's how simple it is. But everything, like I said earlier, must have a foundation to be built on. So it brings me to the question firstly. Anybody, when you hear the word security, what comes to mind? Anybody? When we hear security, the word security, what comes to mind? Protection of who? Or what? Don't be shy, you know, because little people is talk big, you know. Little people is talk big. We're having a discussion, that's what we're having. We're just having a discussion, we're chatting. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Anybody else want to share that? Anyone? Like you do some training? Well done. I have something for you though. She used 2 words, alert and vigilant. Are they the same thing? Alert and vigilant. I'm telling you, we have persons in security profession who when they use those 2 words, label it as the same. And they are not. They are not. Vigilance, and you need to be vigilant, is to be simply aware of what is taking place. So when we go in and say, hey, as you go in, make sure you be vigilant. It just means that to be a constant awareness of what is happening and the potential for danger or anything that is different. Let me say that again. To be alert, to be aware of anything or in the environment that may be different or where there may be a potential for danger. So when you're going home, you want to be vigilant. You want to see the odd car in the vehicle, parked in the road, some strange person, a strange behavior. Alertness is where your attention is drawn to something fixed for a purpose or a period of time. So while I may be vigilant in my approach, I hear boom. Now I am alerted by a noise. So my attention is focused in a particular place for a particular period, for a particular reason. That is the difference of alertness. So you will hear people say, I was alerted by a noise. Yeah? We are alerted by the sound of an explosion. When you're home and a glass falls, what happens? What do you do? Somebody catches a glass fall, what do you do? You hear pattern, you turn around and you're going to the, not because you are alerted. Right here you can be alerted. Because somebody here may get information that somebody has an ill thought towards the ministry and want to come to do something. And you come and you tell Devon or the apostle, and they give them the information, and now they're putting things in place because they were alerted. And that means that they are now putting things in place of a particular view of something. Because they were alerted. Difference. What we may be discussing here, while we may want this belief and framework for here, that is not so. These are things and ingredients and recipe you need to take, and you could carry on to your home and everyday life, because that is what security is. It is a mindset. It's a way of thinking. It's to stop walking wrong unaware. Because a lot of people just exist when you walk the street. We are not aware of what is actually taking place. I have seen people followed for quite some distance and unaware, for approach out this weekend for one moment to snatch the bag, pull the chain. You will see the behavior, and because we are oblivious of what's going on, we were not prepared to do simple things to avoid it. So while tonight, for the best interests of the ministry, we'll be having a discussion in relation to that and sharing views and ideas, I do not want us to leave here limited to believing it is only about this. That is why we close our doors at a certain time. If you don't have a layer of protection, so if you don't have a burglar-proof gate or something that is secure, then you can't leave your door open. Then you have to understand the environment. And this nonsense about, well, I grew up here my whole life and everybody know me, so nobody do me nothing. Forget that. Throw that out the window. They will not come, but they will send somebody. That is awareness. That is facing reality. And that cannot be placed on anybody else but your own shoulders. Before we go in depth on this thing, people, please know the emergency contact for the particular services. Know what is there for ambulance, fire, police. Put it on your fridge. Start to speak to persons in your home. Have a plan for if you're not there and you have kids, who are the person that they could contact? Who is the follow-up individual to come to take care of them? Stop walking through life and believe these things are not important. They are. Things can happen. Just before we came here, about 2 days ago, Devon and I were speaking, and he's telling me, yeah, I'm going to be there in time, for the time you come in. And I said, while you might want to be, you understand what you do. That may not happen. You reach late. But that is the reality. Though may we want things to be a particular way, we are not totally in control. And we're supposed to understand that more than anybody else in this environment. Here, more than anything else, you're supposed to know that. You do the best you can, you put in layers, and you pray on everything else, but at the end of the day, who's in control? So he wanted to be here. The boss said no, he had some other plans. He diverted somewhere else that might have been important to save a life or something somewhere else. Because we really don't know. All we can do is plan, hope for the best, and walk in faith. Yes? That's what we do. But we can't believe that in one way and not be holistic in it. It can't be partial. It can't be for just one thing. It has to be for life and all the different avenues that life carries us. Has to be. I jumped at this opportunity 2 reasons, if I'm to be truthful. One is because for the time I've been around Devon and observing him, I recognize him to be a good standing individual. Who is somebody who explicitly understands what he wants and who he is. And for him to say to me that he wanted me to do this means that he would have seen something in me to say, I want you to be there to do this. That is 1. 2, when I thought about it and the environment that I am now coming to do this, There's a reason why he chose him to tell me. You understand what I just said? There's a reason why he chose him to tell me to be here. And when I looked at it from that perspective, I had to be here. If you believe something, then you have to believe it. Don't pretend to believe it. Don't sit among the peers because you feel somebody feel you're supposed to believe that because they hear, but you really don't and your heart don't. If you believe it, then you have to believe it. So when the time comes and that door comes knocking and it's your time to be there to deliver, you have to see it. You have to feel it. You have to know it. But you must understand that a time comes when you are chosen and you have to recognize those times when it's your time. I have never had to do this in any format where there's a congregation of persons or those persons who are believers. Never. First time up. But this is, to me, one of the most important lectures that I will have to give. Because this wasn't work-oriented. This was divine. Yeah? So, now that we understand that, let's open our minds to what has to come. And let's absorb it. And after it's all said and done, how can you all come together to make the plan work? Because now you'll have to script what you want to do, put it into writing, and designate persons with responsibility to understand that this thing has to be done. This is only just for information, but there must come the physical aspect of it as well. And to understand how you work in your limitations. So, as we are talking about security at the church, most people believe that they don't need security at the church, as I said before. But the reality is that in conversation about the church safety are no longer hypothetical. It is a place where it is very practical now, very responsible and very necessary. I don't know what would have made everyone look at it to identify it. I don't know what would have happened, but it's a good place to be. So, church leaders everywhere, when I went in and did actually church, when I went and did the research for in relation to what it is with security churches that is different, I missed all the experience I had. One thing I came to recognize, and I went into templates with parts of Europe and the US, because that's how I operate when I have something to do. And the one common thing is that most leaders was questioning what's really the importance of having security in church. Amazing, huh? I didn't know that before. And I was blown away. Because the aspect of actually even just praying is asking at times for a form of protection. Not so? You say it. The bound defeated the enemy. We speak of it. You say it. Yet, you hear people question, do we really need security? So, part of what you pray for is what? When you ask for deliverance and all that, what did you ask for? Not for to secure you against something, and something sometimes unseen? Okay. So it went on to ask, do we really need a security team? Maybe not, right? Because nothing ever happened. Nothing ever happened. So maybe not. Okay. How prepared are we if something unexpected really happens? And that is really a big question. Eh? How prepared are you if something unexpected happens? Could anybody give an honest answer in that? Honestly? Don't know, open again. Same thing again. And that would be totally expected because they just push the door forward, storm the place, and then what happens naturally? Panic. Screaming, bawling, licking down chairs, running over each other, and nobody to take the correct action or measures. So emergencies can take any form, and we have to understand that. And that is, like I said, everywhere, including home. And there may be medical incidents, disruptive behavior, accidents, or safety threats. Safety threat, people, there's something we call slip, trips, and fall. Under the OSHA, under security, and the workplace, whereby somebody could simply try to sit here, didn't line up themselves properly. The chair tilts over and they fall. And you hear somebody crying out because they dislocate a wrist, an ankle, or they hurt the back, or they had a previous injury and aggravated it. Enough to disrupt the whole service. Pastor come off, everything shut down, we had to attend to this. But you know, if you had a team in place who could quietly move in, deal with the issue, move the persons, you know the sermon going on still? See how simple that is? See two difference? I'm trying to narrow down the thoughts, and don't feel when you hear security, you feel it's this big thing with gunshots flying up. No. Simple things. So, it's really about care and preparing for emergencies in the act of stewardship and love for the people entrusted to us. And that is why leaders and seniors ensure that these things are placed, because it is really an act of love and care. So emergency can take any form, and there may be medical incidents, like I said before, disruptive behavior, or safety threats. So the phrase that I used earlier, where it talks about protecting people, supports ministry. When I came into that and I saw the aspect of supporting ministry, I was taken aback. I said, wait now, I do this thing all kind of level. I went to the US and do a tactical course and all this and thing. What are you talking about? Supporting ministry. I've been exposed to all kind of different things. State level here, went abroad, went to Antigua, deal with prisons, bring back in prisoners after riot, all kind of things. And what is the difference of this? So now I learned something going forward now, and just brought me back to the place I really don't know everything. So what do? Go into research. And there's actually thought of protecting people supports ministry. Let me say that again. Protecting people supports ministry. And that means that when you ensure the safety and well-being of the people in a church, you create an environment where the mission of the church, which is worship, teaching, fellowship, and outreach, can take place without fear or disruption. Let me say that again. So you see, I had more work to do. They will give me work. Let me say that again. The phrase protecting people supports ministry. Protecting people supports ministry. And it simply means that when you ensure the safety and well-being of people in a church, you create an environment. You didn't find an environment, you create an environment. And that's what we looked at to do going forward. create an environment where the mission of the church, which is worship, teaching, fellowship, and outreach, can take place without you having fear or any disruption being caused. Can we say right now those things are in place? Silence is bliss. It's not really in place. Partially is not fully. Building is not fully. But if it's on your horizon, at least there is the thought of it. And that's why we're here. Who does not want to be here fellowshipping? And in fellowship, I don't wonder if the door open, if it's safe. Who don't want to, while you're here, somebody walk and everybody watch and wonder who this person is and what's going on? Who don't want to be in a place where you go in the fellowship or have your outreach that you don't feel safe you can bring your family? Who wants that? Who you don't want, would like to know the grandchildren coming and your sons and daughters to join you or finally get them to join you? But you know to yourself you're crying out in a place that's not really safe. Would you? Would you? You won't. Or is it not your dream to have your other family, extended family, feel what you feel, believe what you believe, and come into the environment to receive what you're receiving? Because I'm sure this what is being received must be shared, should be shared, want to share it. Because you understand and know how wonderful it is. Amen? So what it means is the ministry of our church is working, preaching the gospel, caring for people, discipling members, and serving the community. When people feel safe, they can focus on the following. And what are the things that you could feel safe and focus on when they're here? Worship, first and foremost, yes? And you're doing a lovely job of that tonight. Feel the energy. You want to be able to listen to teaching. Are we being taught? Are we receiving? Are we welcoming what we're receiving? So we don't want to disrupt while we're receiving. We don't want to be disrupted. You want to be able to, like we see going on right now, fellowship with others. And you want to bring your families to the church. So we can achieve at least 4 aspects of something, of things, by putting one thing in place. A security frame. So if safety is not a consideration, or is not considered, fears, emergencies, or incidents, then it can interrupt or damage the ministry. If it's not a concern for emergencies, fears, or incidents, then it can damage the ministry. And somebody in mind will say, what man is he talking about? How damage the ministry? Okay. I'm going far-fetched here now because I want to drive the point home. One gunman come through that door, started spray here, 5 dead, 6 dead, 6 wounded. Who coming back? Who coming back? Who you going and encourage after when you go out there to come in this environment? People passing out there when you were pointing upstairs. You remember upstairs there? The man went in and he pointed, people get shot and then people there. Me there, you're mad now. I just went far-fetched to show you what impact really is. A time is coming. A time is coming where that might actually be the place we're living in. When it comes the persecution of Christians. The time is coming. You see, I'm a person when I have a task, I don't waver in my task. I don't take anything for granted, because I always believe if you're doing something, do it to your best and to give best of you so others could benefit to become the best of themselves. So my neighbor caused me to dig in a little deeper. So sometimes we look across 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, when I do my tasks and so forth, is this I would have been in. Because there must be a tie to the earthly things, to the spiritual thing. And we have to understand how they each connect to each other and the role they play. And a time will come. And when the time comes, the Father will say, but I send someone to help you put things in place and you fail to put your house in order. Understand that. So, security and protection are not separate from ministry. They help ministry function effectively. How it is applicable, especially in a church security, is one, it creating a safe worship environment. You're monitoring whereby you'll be able to, like what Devon is doing, monitoring entrances and exits. Do you have an exit? Should be monitored. You want to be invisible but not disruptive, meaning that you will have your persons who are assigned to the task, but they're blending in such a way that they are not disruptive. People don't walk in and say, but how do I look like I said a security? So like people come in here, what? And you become more nervous than relaxed. That is why a lot of times the security personnel are the actual persons who come and greet, how are you, morning, sir, morning, man, welcome to the, and they see them nice and mellow. And that's the fellows who want to lock you up. That is the men who lock you up. But they blend in with a soft, and also it must become part of what the culture of the organization is. What is your culture? It must blend into the culture. And if your culture is one of love and warmth and welcoming, then the feel of that while they're doing the job, welcoming, scanning, screening, paying attention, indulging new persons. Hey, how are you? Good to see you today. How are you? Oh, you know about this? What they do? And you're doing a little screening in a nice way, but the person does not understand how you feel insecure. They feel like the person who just does the normal welcoming. But you have a plan, you have a task. You want to be able to help people feel comfortable, like I said before, to be able to bring their families. 2, protecting vulnerable groups such as children, ministry area, elderly members, and various unfamiliar with the facility. So this facility is not huge like some may have been, but you want to be able to be in a place where you can direct persons to areas and also deny persons access to areas. So you want to be in a place where while everything is going on and you're doing your worshiping and so forth, you still have a task at hand, that you're paying attention for other things. I saw a shooting in a church, and it was not nice because persons were there doing their thing, and this, I will call him a demon. I won't call him a human being, because I don't think a normal human being targets a church. That's my view. I don't think a normal human being targets a church. Doesn't go into the place of the Lord just so. And just gun down innocent people who are just simply praying. Right? So, You also have to look at the fact that you need to be managing emergencies. And those emergencies may be medical, like I said, simple. Somebody is asthmatic, they didn't take the pump today, they had a stressful day, they come in, they'll find it in them, and all of a sudden, just had a little reason, and it built up on you right here. How do we treat those things? Going on, fire and evacuation situations. Do you have a fire drill? Do you have an emergency procedure? Who are the persons that would act as the wardens to do the sweep? Who leads to the muster point? How do you know how much people was actually here? When you reach there that you can do a head count, how do you know? Do you all sign in anything when you come through the door? Is there something to take and credit in the muster point? Somebody in the bathroom, we missed that because you get out. How do we know? Oh, sorry, that's only for big corporations. That's only for the workplace. Fire different here than if it in a store. The heat different, so you don't have to worry about that here. Yeah. Right? Conflict of suspicious behavior. And suspicious behavior, when they say conflict people, simply mean somebody come, they get up, they sit on the back. They get up again, they change the next seat. They get up now and they just start to walk around and they're paying attention to every little thing. Somebody switch on and say, well, what kind of behavior is this? He sat here, he moved, he went there, all of a sudden he went here, he sat there for a little while. Now he's moving and he be watching around. What is this man doing? But if you're not security conscious, you're not vigilant, you would not be aware. But then it's not your role so much to be aware, because you have a team in place that is carrying out those functions. And because of that, you're able to sit feeling safe and comfortable. Because you know they've done the job. Who don't feel comfortable when they've done the job? Who don't feel comfortable? You see, everybody admit this. Feel comfortable when they've done the job. You want to be able to support the pastor and leadership. Let me say that again. Support the pastor and leadership. Security allows pastor and ministry leaders to focus on preaching, counseling, and guiding people spiritually instead of worrying about safety issues. Let me say that again. Security allows pastor and ministry leaders to focus on preaching, counseling, and guiding people spiritually instead of worrying about security issues. Make sense? Why pastor be here and while he up here, he still be looking to see what is going on. Who coming through that door? What happening here? And as things start to move, we go on because he go to the next place. See how far this thing goes. Further to which, you could say when people feel like or feel safe, they are free to worship, learn and grow. People grow here, right? They grow here, right? Now we say like being sure. When you come and you fellowship and you do and these different things, you're growing not so. You get deeper into the word and so forth, and you learn and so forth, right? And you're not only learning the word, you learn correct behavior. And you learn to demonstrate to others by your behavior. Long before you say something, the word comes out to you, people by your behavior recognizes something that is different but you. And not what is what on you, but what is in you. Not so? Not what is on you, but what in you. So that is why protecting people is not separate from ministry. It is not. It actually supports and strengthens the ministry. Like my boy on TV. If you didn't know, now you know. Now you know. It is not separate and apart. It comes from a place of love and care. That's why we deliver the word. We ensure that as the spiritual part is being fed, we are protecting the physical. So as we're feeding, we are protected. Questions? All right. So a church security plan ideally provides a clarity before a crisis ever happens. So what happens is, in an emergency, people experience what? If there's an emergency now, and we see somebody clutch their chest and fall down, what's that happen? Huh? Panic. Panic for who? For the person there. He going through the problem, but you feeling not necessarily panic, you know, the stress of it. You just start to take on stress, so you start to malfunction, you can't think straight, you hyperventilated and all kind of thing. Sometimes you get more heart attack than the man who heart attack. So he fall down on each chest, we had to come and treat you too. You say, oh gosh, the next one down too. Pressure. Because we take on the stress. Worse yet, and don't tell me don't have it, everywhere has it. It's one of the beloved ones, one of the favorites. Don't tell me about it. It has that all over the place. It's normal. There are people who would have been around each other a little longer. You build a different type of relationship. It happens. And if it's one you do, darling, pressure. Pressure. Long time, when you so call them, what you always see is long time for the older people. Of course, I shouldn't say that, we're no age. But compare. When last time I hear that word? You laugh, eh? You remember you compare? What is it you compare? You just feel like it's you going through it too. So, while we have the stress, the other part that follows stress, not naturally, is confusion. People running headless. Don't know what to actually do. Don't know where to turn. You're calling a number whole day. All of a sudden you can't remember the number. You're custom calling pastor, all of a sudden you can't remember the number. Because now with the stress comes confusion. Anybody ever get upon reality child have fever? Or you say a child just get asthma attack? What has happened? You're going crazy. I experienced last year on a sports, SC Police Association sports, had this young lady, we were not aware she's asthmatic. She's very athletic and she wants to run every race. I think I named video earlier. Next thing I see the young lady in the ground, rolling, pulling grass. Asthma. You trying to hold and she hold and fighting and good thing the ambulance was close by, the ran down, she pelted the puff, she don't want to take the puff. And I am watching, I am seeing her life slipping away very quickly. If you ever want to know how fragile we are and what happens, take a day and just visit accident emergency and see what happens in that place. See how much people comes in on the gurney with diabetes and all these different things and getting ill and so forth. And that's not the sad part, you know. The sad part, because I'd managed that for a while, it was under my management, is that you see persons sometime on a gurney 2 days, 3 days, and nobody visits them. That is sad. But the good part about that is, you all have this family, somebody can visit. You have this family, so I'm sure somebody is going to fit it. I'm sure there's going to be care. Sure is going to have concern. And I'm sure you'll be taken care of very quickly because you want to put a plan in place because you recognize what could happen when we don't want the stress and confusion. So, added to stress, confusion, the other part that comes with that and impacts those two things just as much is when you have uncertainty. When you don't know what to do, stress and confusion increases. And they are more likely to exist when there's the uncertainty. But if you know what to do, there's a plan, it removes that. It removes that when there's the plan. So when roles are unclear, panic increases. For all the releases here, and I know I have not had the opportunity yet, I'm saying yet, I'm sort of in the future, right? To taste the sweet hand. And I know it's probably could cook real good. I'm sure. When there's a fire on the stove, so the oil get too hot and boom, fire. What do? Oh God, I gotta run, boy. I gotta run. What you do? You do what? Turn on the stove. What else can you do? Cover the pot. Not you, I say ladies cooking. This best man could show up, but we don't have a sweet hand ever. Cover the pot. And if none of them will throw some water. Who say yes? No? Alright. No. I made my point. Look how quick people say, no. There was no uncertainty. Because we know what to do. I made my point. There was no uncertainty because we are aware and we know what to do because you have received that information and now there's a plan that you work with. Take off the stove, take off the fire, so remove the heat because one of three things you have to have, right? Is either remove the heat or you shop what? The fuel or take away the oxygen. So you do what first? You took off the stove, somebody else say what? Cover the pot. So you know, so there was no uncertainty. Let you hear boom and you turn around, you see the fire, and you see the little child now around the water, throw in the pot now. I bet you see uncertainty now. Oh God, no, boom. Now the fire blaze now, we start to panic. The same thing still applies, you know. The same turn off the stove, the same cover the pot. The same thing still apply, but now because it seems to be a little more intense, all of a sudden now we're uncertain. All of a sudden now we panic. So when we had emergency with the person we last one, we know what to do. We found them and everything and we called somebody but as we see a knife, it's a whole different ball game now. We start the team still have a plan, but we see it in a different avenue now because now it becomes lethal emergency, a lethal threat. Panic steps in. Because why? Because you were not taught how to treat with that. So now there's uncertainty. And what you want to do going forward in the future is to be able to minimize the uncertainty. So whereby you don't have to feel uncertain because you know you have a team to deal with that. That's how we deal with the uncertainty. But not necessarily asking you to deal with it, but because we have a team in place, you feel more confident in how things will be handled. That's the point. That's what we want to create. So you feel safe in the word and you feel safe in the plan. So Where roads are clear, calmness increases. Let me say that again. Where roads are clear, calmness increases. And you could take that and create home with you, because home is the same thing. You can take that and create home with you, because home is the same thing. When roads are clear, father know a role, mommy know a role, and we understand our role, and we cry out our role, and we act our role, things are clear. A strong security plan outlines who leads during the emergency, what the security team does, how communication happens, what steps to take in different situations. And I just gave you 3. And how to respond and evacuate if necessary. Take that, create home. You know, we have homes, we have back door and front door. I know we never talk to our families, but if something happens, how we come out of the house? That's for the only for the business place. You know, we do even have, we learning thing and work on muster point, and you know if something happens, we don't know where we're going. You know, we put in a burglar proof on the house, if something happens, we trap, we even put in a way that we could open it and come out.
Just to add to that, I don't know if you can remember some years ago when the children built up in the house in Marva, because as a result of multiple burglar proof, there were no means of egress. When we reached there, because the burglar proof and it was in the same direction. You were able to gain access to save the children. One died right in the gallery, the other 2 died in the bedroom.
You know, I like but what he said. What he said wasn't good enough. But it does bring me back to understand that I ain't talking madness. So you just help confirm that. That I kind of understand what I'm talking a little bit about. Because I only have about 3 decades of experience in this thing. So I have a little idea. I will say it again. Security is a mindset and a way of life. Some of us are fortunate that we are being paid to do something that's supposed to come natural. We'll learn the added skills. Baton and hand-to-hand and fire, and those are added skills. But in the basic understanding, we all supposed to be security contrasts. All the time. Moving away from your home again. Where you're putting on top of the wardrobe that if your bunks is falling down. Glass anywhere in your chair in the place and the plane and they touch something, the bunks, the glass falling. Sharp objects, this thing. And we washing wares and putting a knife up so they pointed there up. That somebody talking and the cooking and they push down it. What happened? But who put the knife so? Women laugh because there's current plenty for that end. Who put the knife so again? I've talked to all, yeah. That sound familiar? Security people. All that is security. Broaden your minds. If you didn't think about it before, think about it now. The nice thing about this is once it comes to your mind's eye and you start seeing it, you can't stop seeing it. We still have people who traveling, just jumping in the maxi just so. They ain't taking a little look around. You just jump in and you go on. You ain't know a new man in the car on the block with a P car, you ain't see him first time 11 o'clock, you just jump in the car just so. You say, boy, let me wait a little bit. We ain't call somebody and say, well, hey, the corner coming down just now. So if you take a little long, they'll call you back. Hey, you ain't reached yet. What is going on? You still waiting? Or you come outside and wait. So when the car pull up, they see somebody outside. So if they had ill intent, they drive off. Ladies, you reach home. And when you reach home, what you do? You know in the bag, digging for the key in front of the door. And you know all your back like Oscar Garbage can. It's real thing in it. And you know digging. You ain't having your hand and prepare, you know. But when you reach in front of the door, you're doing through a million things and here you know. But with this keyboard, I put it in this pocket. But what do you like with that? Because we're not security conscious. You're going out, you don't want to tell nobody you're going because you want to mark your business. But if there's a fire or something in the area and come on news, I will know if I need to find myself there quick or if they say, oh gosh, thank God they're not there. That's all. That's all, people. We're not trying to mark up. But we just need to know that you are safe. So if there's news, I will know how to respond and what to do. That's it. Not trying to mind the business. The nice thing about it is, you just always say when you're going to church, so that is all right. So they're doing it in church. Sure, what that part. You're not worried about that part. Right? So simply put it, is that a written plan removes guesswork when it is time to execute. A written plan removes guesswork. Fred in watching John to see what John doing, John studying, but like Fred didn't know what to do. And we don't know how to because there's no plan. You have to be on the same page. So there's an important principle to remember, and that is people do not rise to the occasion, they fall to their level of, you can take this one in fire service, they fall to their level of preparation. That's something we did years ago. That part I remember I included that. People do not rise to the occasion, they fall to the level of their preparation. Let me say it again. People do not rise to the occasion, they fall to the level of their preparation. Because there's one thing I sure in life, if I know nothing else, is you can't give what you don't have. Try it now. Are there anybody? Give what you don't have. Child come from school, bring the book. It have 5 plus 5, but you only learn 1 plus 2. Or you help them to know what 5 is, 5 plus 5 is. Boy, you're crying because you want to help them, but you can't because you can't give what you don't have. So what I tell my young officers and so forth, when I'm in training, is that for persons wrong you to become better, you must firstly become better. You must firstly become better. Then you can help people become better. Because they can't give what you don't have. When preparation is strong, the response is also strong. But security is not just a strategy, it is also a ministry. It is also a ministry. So let's quickly look at some essential security tools and systems. It is said that modern security involves both people and technology working together. So while we have persons long time in security, we used to go and look. Now in modern day security, we just look and go. Long time, I say that again, long time, you had to get up and you had to go and look. Now, we looking, hey, who is this man in this area in quadrant B? Radio somebody and they send them. So now, you don't have to go and look, you look and then you go. Technology and physical security meeting and working hand in hand. So if I had a camera outside the door and a little screen somewhere, what would happen? You ain't gotta open and then look. You don't look and then open. Ah. So video surveillance helps monitor entrances and activity around the property. Cameras can deter harmful behavior because if you make it pronounced in a place, people realize that they are being observed and maybe deter them. Because in any form of security, people again be talking here, be talking at work, be talking home. 3 things you want to do at all times, be able to do. You want to either to be able to deter, detect, or react. Deterrent means you have a big bad dog in your house, in your yard, to a 200-pound Rottweiler. Nobody ain't coming there. And after that, as the pass, so the light come on. As the light come on, you see them 2 big fellas coming too. You deter because you want a soft target. And you want an environment where it's less likely for you to be detected. If you didn't deter, you gotta detect. Detect is you hear the door open, because when they push the door, they didn't know they had the burglar proofing. And they hear the rattling. But the burglar proofing not easy, that cut something or that mash down things, so you're detecting. Or the light comes on and you see a suspicious behavior. So you didn't deter, they still try, but you're able to detect it. And if you didn't do none of those 2, you had to be able to react. Call the police, throw some hot water, run out the house, something. You're free. Hot water, you just had to bite water, no? But it does work. You're not trying to, just not trying on a hand. That is all. You get the hammer, bang on the hand right there. Hold the burglar proofing. Move your hand. You don't even have to swing from quite here. Move your hand. And I go work. Even it does work. Ask Jerry. It works. But you start a plan. Right? You start a plan. Or you never put on your finger? Yeah. Oh. And you wasn't vexed with yourself, so you didn't pong it hard. And it hurt. So when you see he trying to come in here out of a pong, what you feel you're doing? When I tell him move, I show you moving. I show. So you want to be able to deter, detect, or react. And that's a security principle worldwide. Anywhere you go. That is why you have officers patrolling the street, because their patrol is supposed to help deter. Change people's mind because they see a constant presence. Detect them because you came up with the vehicle but they didn't put on the lights. So you drive up and they didn't see you. So you detect them. And the reaction is, well, like they run them down or whatever the case may be, or you call for backup, or you call somebody else, all that is reaction, the appropriate reaction. Right? Same thing applies home. So, alarm systems provide immediate alerts when something is wrong. What is the best and cheapest alarm you could get? Huh? The best and cheapest alarm you could get? Yeah, that's a good alarm. But it only works if everybody in the area understands. You hear one going home and hear somebody, them not know your neighbor again, boy. Jesus, just them like noise. You hear that? You hear that? Them serious? But they didn't realize that that is to alert you. And if in the community we understand that, we know that what happened when we start upon lights. When that person hear horn and see lights coming on, they already anticipate detection. They're going to leave. And they're not going to come back because they realize this place locked down. Added to which, if by some reason they happen to be right by the door and they're now trying to get it, you put it right by the edge. Ah, right there. Right there close. Right there, right there, right there. Right there. Yes. I afraid you. I afraid, just let me stay here where I see, Ma'am, I don't know where you see that one and where you get that one. I don't find it. I don't know of it. I know the one when you're present here, you just said it in Port of Spain. That is the one I know. But it works equally as well. So it may be, I'm just not aware of it. Yeah. I sound like on shot. Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I know that. I just know the normal one. Other than that, we have a local alarm all over the place. It's called a potong. You get a good little potong, he just bark at everything. That's the best alert in the world. Potong. Here's the problem. Canines are like human beings, creatures that have it, but they are molded. So you get a nice little dog, you're walking down the road, that dog follow you there. You say, but what's wrong with this dog? You throw 2 bones, when you come back, you see him still in the yard. 2 bones at a bit of plate of food. And you wonder why the dog always there. Listen, man and all if you gain feed, they're going. So the dog get attached to you. And when the dog get attached to you, part of what he is going to do for you is barking. But here what we do now, listen, this is serious because we have something of value and not understand the value of it. So the dog now is barking and alerting you. You know what we do? Come and hit him 2 lashes and then go in the back start barking. So now we condition the dog to don't bark when people hear. You come home from work a day and the house clean, you want to kill the dog. Because the people wrongly tell you, but we hear a dog bark at all. Of course, he back, you're cussing and putting 2 lashes on him and tell him go in the back. What you're supposed to do is call him, hold him, pet him up and move him like he bad. Come, go in the back. You know he might say nobody, but why do you don't know that? So you cry him in the back and you put him there. And let him start, but now he go down gallery himself, He's showing off now. And he take wagging so. He's showing off and he say, hey, behave yourself, behave, good boy. He invited our soul, but nobody don't know that. You had to camouflage the thing. Make it look good. Don't turn him against crying out his function that is benefiting you. All it costs in here is 2 pieces of bone and some rice. And if you cook nice and that bone tasty, well, you gosh, he barking whole day, whole night. Facts. Right? Where we were at camp the first time when we started Special Operations Department, it had a little, oh God, what used to call the dog boy? I can't remember the dog name. But we started, our son named Didier started feeding the dog downstairs. Next thing in the night when men patrolling, the dog patrolling with here. And sheep barking at the wind going ahead of you. We never stopped feeding the dog because she started providing a proper function. Never train her, but that's what happens. So sometimes you get the thing right in your hand and we throw it away. Right? So you have a good alarm. You know, it's about electricity bill and all kind of thing with them. Right? They come a little cheaper. Right? So other than that, now access control systems as well help manage who enters and enters certain areas. Smart locks and control access help protect children ministry, offices and private spaces. Do you have that? Do you have areas where you have your valuables properly secured with a lock or a locking system that cannot easily be defeated? You shouldn't have one of those things where you just take a little pliers, a screwdriver, and you just put here the winch and the door open. That is the one that sells $60 and you got any hardware and thing. Right? Once you get something fit between and the price, they will open. I don't know how to pick no lock it. I just know about that, how the thing does work. Next thing, when I start to watch me cook here, but wait, now, how you know that? That is the only way I know that, it will work. Right? So, these tools are not replacements of people. They support trained individuals who are prepared to act wisely and calmly. Technology strengthens preparedness, but people provide response. Your camera cannot respond. The alarm cannot respond. They could only do their function, which is to alert or direct or guide or bring to your awareness. At the end of the day, physically, there needs to be a response. So now let's talk about the structure of a church security team, not individuals. Not individuals, team. A well-organized team ensures that responsibilities are clear and response is coordinated. That comes through documentation and training. To provide that in this area that is not huge does not take a whole lot of training, but it takes a degree of preparedness as well, still nevertheless. Right? This area is easier to control by its geographics. Eh? Everything is in confined space. So first what you want to look at is that you have to establish in any team there must be a, who said that? Leader, correct. Must have a leader. A leader has to lead. A leader has to lead. And to lead, he must lead or she must lead by the example that is required of the others. So do as I do. What I say to supervisors when you train them is two things. One, become the supervisor that you always wanted to have. If you're sure to be a supervisor, be the supervisor you always wanted to have. Become that. And then lead by the very example. So I went as a corporal. I remember in camp I used to go and watch the bathroom. And people would be copy washing the bathroom. Of course, once I watch the bathroom, I can't tell you, oh, clean that bathroom after. You can't tell me no. Because I first executed the function. And I didn't just clean it, I clean it real good. Because now I'm coming to tell you, this is how I want it. Clean it. Right? So one thing I used to pride myself of is that I will say to them, there's nothing that I'm asking you to do that I have not done or willing to do. Nothing. Nothing. But I'll also re-emphasize to you that I'm sure you'll do it better than you will not less. Yeah? Leaders lead. So, this person provides overall direction and coordination. They develop the security plan, train team members, and guide the response during emergencies. Not an emergencies, because you can have different type of emergencies, right? So the role requires organization, clear communication, and the ability to remain calm under pressure. That is so critical you would not believe, because people feed off of your energy. More than you know. More than you know, people feed off of your energy. You need to be calm. We had a surveillance going on with some guys, and we ran them down. We had 4 vehicles on the surveillance. And we ended up pulling them over at UE. That's on the bus route. But before that, the guys, they were good at what they do. And I was running up the southern main road, and the radio was going up, and I got back in the car, and my driver was going, and I just, hey, relax, focus. Don't get tunnel vision on me here. Focus. And he had to feel from my energy. I am the lead. Yeah? Lead. So, clear leadership creates calm environments. And the next is the surveillance and monitoring officer. Well, in this case, I only prepped that because I wasn't sure if it is you fact you did have a monitoring thing set up. But nevertheless, you can never tell. It's good to know for the future. This role focuses on awareness, monitoring cameras, observing activity, and identifying unusual behavior early. Helps prevent situation from escalating. Early detection is one of the most powerful forms of prevention because you could address it very early. So if you recognize something you could deal with the door, let me deal with it by the door. Don't let it come in. But one of the things you have to become is also tactful. If it's here, how do we get it to the door without being disruptive, and we'll get an individual to be cooperative? What do I mean by that? That piece of manners I don't say it. Somebody is disruptive, somebody comes up to you. So how are you going? Are you ever do this? No, I don't, just now I understand you might be upset. Come, let's talk about it. What is guy vexed? All right, no, he didn't mean that, I understand what you're talking about. Yeah, man. And he started to go down the step. So no, but okay, but next time you don't come. So when you stop now, you realize, but wait. But you're a real smart man when you walk outside. Yeah. That's what tactfulness is. So while we talking, we heading there, and we outside, we go down the step, we talking and thing, and then when you realize, we outside. Because the aim is not to become physical. That should never be the aim. You want to have calmness, meaningful dialogue, yeah, and the initiative that can cause the person to remove the behavior from the individual. That is first. If we need to be, then we must be prepared to be, and there are techniques and things to do that and address it very quickly as well. Right? But the aim of the team is not to do that, it's to identify it early as possible and get the situation under control quickly. Right? So, they're saying. Next is the access control and greeter team. These are real brainiacs here now. These individuals manage entry points during service and events. They welcome attendees, they guide visitors, and help ensure restricted areas remain secure. Their role demonstrates an important balance. Their warm hospitality combined with thoughtful awareness. I assure you people will do that already. So you just have to put the other piece of ingredient to that. So this role ensures readiness when a crisis occurs, whether responding to a medical situation, managing disruption, or guiding an evacuation. This coordinator helps ensure the response is organized and calm. So who that sounds like they're working closely with? The team leader. I'd hire you. I'd hire you. This lady, she on the point, boy. She in the point, which means she paying attention. I feel like the meet and greet. Look like she make out things quick. Yes. Because when they do that, then they'll draw the attention of the team lead, and that's who work closely in tandem with that individual. Because the point you are the first access point. There's something called perimeter security, or what we call security concentric rings, that deals with layers of security. And you will have that once you have somebody there, and then person inside. That is what you call the outer ring, or your first point of screening. And that may be the most critical point. Right? If they come inside, then you have the detection to be taking place otherwise, and then you have reactions inside here. You want to try to happen at all this. So you want people who are keen, sharp, yeah, to be able to be in those areas. Identify little things. Yeah? So the role ensures readiness when crisis occurs, whether responding to a medical situation, managing a disruption, or guiding an evacuation. This coordinator helps ensure the response is organized and always calm. Training in first aid, CPR, and emergency procedure equips team members to act effectively when needed. It always helps to have that. It always helps, right? Right now, I'm actually doing the first aid instructor's course. So I'm hoping to be successful in that. But it's always good to have it among your people. And again, it's good things, that skill to have in your home. It's a good skill to have at home. Right? If you're not too hot with the CPR, but at least know to deal with little cuts and bruises and minor burns and this kind of thing, what you initiate in the first 3 minutes and all that business, and what you can do in the initial stages. Yeah? One of the things is, now more than ever, asthma is a serious thing. Identifying it, not necessarily treat it, but know that you want to get seek medical attention quickly is not something to be playing with. It's a condition that can change very quickly. Right? Heart attack is another thing. The dangerous thing with heart attack, though, however, is that men usually will clutch. Women tend to feel in the back first, more than the chest. So you might say they do something, they feel like someone in the back. Women experience it a little differently. Yeah? Remember that. It more feel like there's something happening in the back than in the actual chest. Men will quicker clutch your chest. Yeah? Just a note. Anyway. So calm response builds trust and saves lives. Together, these rules form a coordinated system of cure and thank you. I like that. You use granulated sugar. That very clear. You didn't know it's like just granulated sugar? So in conclusion, you want to be able to reflect. Let's reflect a little bit now on what we learned. What we learned so far for tonight? What we learned? Oh, sorry, my bad. Let me ask you a question. Did we learn anything tonight? What we learned? Wait, what you learn?
We learn how to be socially aware
Right.
of our surroundings.
Right. Don't answer all. Right, because I say, look right.
We learn not to throw water in the pot when it catch a fire.
You too bright. You too bright. I ain't getting no business with you. You go smart man. Who else? What you learn? We had to learn something. It might necessarily be here because things we talk about going home, we talk about different things. What else we learn?
I learned that security is not just for your environment, but it's also for you as an individual.
First and foremost, just like any form of safety, it begins with you. This lady in black was saying something here.
Being alert around your surrounding.
I love your accent. You were hiding it all the time, man. I didn't hear it. Yes, ma'am.
Being vigilant.
Yeah, mama. Don't mama kind of. What vigilant mean?
You're aware.
Ah. Give her a round of applause. Head of the class. Being aware. Oh, that way I get the brightness from. All right. What is we can take home?
What I can take home, and I will have shared this already, that you don't want to mind your business or live until it's not over. Just to know that wherever you are, if something is happening, you know, okay, either you are there or you're not there, that it will determine how would we respond, whether we have to get there quickly, as I said, or okay, our peace of mind person is not there, so I don't have to worry.
What can we apply home? What it is that we heard that we wasn't doing home that we now think about, and you know what? I feel like I started to do that home. Don't tell me no, because plenty I wasn't doing home. Tell me something that we say coming out of this. You know what? I'm thinking about this. Right? Something that I really should be doing home.
I would say actually implementing master point.
A point of meeting. Burglar. Good point. And you got a beautiful demonstration thing from Devon identifying a real-time issue. That is greatly overlooked. Yeah? What's the ambulance? What's the emergency number for ambulance? You see? So that's something we have to take and carry home. We now understand that we need to understand emergency numbers, put it in a place and a common place for family members. There are people, times, guys, that they know these things, but in the moment of panic and stress and confusion, you tend to forget. Put it in a place that is common and drill your family into understanding in crisis what needs to be done. Don't take those things that only apply here. They are things that you can transform and translate to home. And I hope that that is some of the things that we would have recognized and heard and realized while we're doing that here and we are developing a team. I am the leader of the team home now. Yes, you. You now have a responsibility with getting that kind of information of how it translates home when you take it.
And it's a person doesn't rise to the occasion or falls to the level of preparedness.
All right, you're going to head the class now. You're in heady class now. You know, sorry, yeah? Headed class. Doesn't make sense. That's the thing. Anything that persons present to you, people, regardless of what, when you take it, analyze it, you must ask yourself, does it make sense? If it makes sense, yes. Also, no matter where you put it, it must remain and mean the same thing. That's what the truth is. The truth, no matter where you take it, where you put it, how you analyze it, it remains the truth. And you would have gotten a lot of truths right here. And when you went home and you take your book and you read to look at it, you'd have realized, okay. And then somewhere, you'd have come into the word and you'd have experienced it. And now more than ever you understand and know it to be the truth. So we are just adding on to all the other truths you would have been hearing. Remember, security is also a ministry. Secondly, a security plan provides clarity, and we want everybody to be understanding that. And the security plan in its clarity may simply mean that you all understand that there's a team, and when something happens, those are the persons that act, not you. Remove yourself, give them the room, allow them to do their job. Listen to the instruction they gave. They didn't give you instruction to move, you don't want to move. You see them move, you continue. Remember the thing they're doing, they also are working in tandem with the persons up here while they're delivering to cause them to be able to focus on that and not actually security and safety aspect. They are providing that layer. So the behavior of what happened doesn't be disruptive to the word. Important to understand. Preparedness does what? Protects people so that you don't fall. Preparedness protects people. So we want to be prepared. Although you know when we hear hurricane alert and thing, we don't do that, right? All right. Added last but not least, no, not last, but protection supports ministry means again that people, when they feel safe, the church can focus on its true purpose, which is, as we said before, needs to be reiterated on worship, teaching, fellowship, care for others without disruption or disruption. That has to be said and continue to be understood. That is what you're trying to achieve. Boast about everything in the layer of security, that at the end of the day is what they want to achieve the most, right? And churches is not about expecting danger, but it's about being faithful in preparation and responsible in leadership. It is about caring well for those who gather to worship, learn, and grow together. Preparation is an act of love for the people entrusted to our care, And as you leave today, consider this question. What is one step our church can take to become more prepared? A prepared church is a protected church, and a protected church can focus fully on its mission. And with that, I say thank you. Good answer.